Welcome back to Sahara TV. My name is Rudolph Okonkwo. I hope you've been enjoying our show. We had a very interesting interview with Professor George Ayete, the Ghanaian professor who said that our President Jonathan is a joke and that Nigerians should consider replacing him. This is the Roundtable. This is when we now go in depth to look at the situations in Africa with our guests. And today we have two special guests. We have Abdul Mahmud. Abdul is a lawyer and a political activist. He's the founding member of many radical and progressive groups, including the Campaign for Democracy and Democratic Alternative. He's currently the president of the Public Interest Lawyers League. He's joining us from Abuja. Abdul, welcome to Roundtable. I think we lost him. Also, we are going to talk to Remi Oyeyemi, who is a Nigerian journalist, and he was a founding assistant editor of PM News. He's joining us here in the United States. Remi, can you hear me? Okay. Currently, we are going to reconnect with Abdul Mahmud and Remi Oyeyemi, but in the meantime, we are going to talk about the situation in Egypt and the situation in Nigeria with President Jonathan refusing to declare his assets in public. When they join us, this is what we are going to discuss. And in 20 minutes, we are going to take a break and we will get you involved in this discussion when we are going to take your Skype calls. That will give you a chance to talk to Remi Oyeyemi and Abdul Mahmud on these topics and other topics we are going to discuss. Also, we are going to talk about the updates on the bribery scandal in the National Assembly in Nigeria. All right. The update on the story of the declaration of assets. Yesterday, the Code of Conduct Bureau, the chairman, Sam Seba, said that he won't make President Jonathan's assets public. The reason he gave is that it's unconstitutional for his office to expose the assets of the president. Hello, Mahmoud, can you hear me? Hello? Remi? Can you hear me? Okay, I think we are having difficulties connecting to two of our guests. We will take a break, and when we come back, when we get them online, we will discuss these things. And in 20 minutes, like I said, we are going to get you involved. I know you want to talk about some of these issues. So until then, we will take a break and we'll be back. Hi, welcome back to Sahara TV. My name is Rudolph Okonkwo. We are sorry for the technical difficulties we had, and we've been able to fix it. We're now going to go back to our roundtable, and we have as our guest today Abdul Mahmud. He is the president of the Public Interest Lawyers League in Abuja. And also we have Remi Oyeyemi, who is a journalist and a distinguished columnist. So, Mahmoud, welcome to Sahara TV.
Yes, thank you very much for inviting me, and good evening to all Nigerians in the diaspora.
Thank you. And Remi Oyeyemi, welcome to Sahara TV.
Thank you for having me, and I want to say good morning to all Nigerians in the diaspora and good evening to all Nigerians at home.
Very good. So let's start with the story today coming out from Egypt. The new president was sworn in, and that brings to a kind of an end to the revolution in Egypt. So, Mahmoud, tell me, what does that mean to all the people in Africa who were watching the ceremony today?
Yes, in one word, it signifies the power of the people. Don't forget that what we have today is a result of the consummate power of the people that was expressed on the streets of Egypt, and more particularly in Tahrir Square, for almost 6 months in the build-up to the collapse of the SY regime of President Hosni Mubarak. For anything else, it signifies clearly that when the people are united, they can bring about their own future.
Remi, the president said that there is no power above people power. that today you are the source of this power. Why is it that in sub-Saharan Africa, this power doesn't seem to be active or in action?
Well, the simple answer to it is that people have not been sufficiently educated. When I say educated, I'm not talking about going into the four walls of classrooms. That's what we call, basic education in communal affairs. Understanding your basic rights. Having the idea that the government is there to serve you and holding the people in government responsible and accountable. So that particular idea, that particular philosophy is not yet appreciated and understood by our people. And even sometimes you see them either showing indifference or even just leave them alone, let them do whatever they want to do. And they believe too much in the power above. We all believe in God, but they say heaven helps only those who help themselves. Until Nigerians are sufficiently educated, informed, and aware that until when they gather together, take the bull by the horn, take charge of the control of their own destiny, then God will be willing to help them. So that is just the difference. I don't know how long it took Egyptians, to get to this point, because I've been trying to follow the story of that country since the days of Gamal Abdel Nasser, and I see that they are, a little bit politically aware because of their competition with the state of Israel. Maybe we need something like that to wake us up and know that, well, we need a leadership that is accountable and that it behoves on us to hold them accountable, and until we stop them, they're not going to stop.
Mahmoud, how did Egypt achieve this and the rest of Africa, especially Nigeria, is still in the dark, still not able to institute the power of the people?
Well, I think the events in Egypt, and more particularly in the Arab world, present a different challenge for the sub-Saharan Africa, more particularly countries in the West African region of Africa. For Nigeria, we should not forget that we are a very huge country with multiplicities of ethnic groups. Ethnic groups are in themselves not united by language, by culture, and also by sociology. Nigeria presents a very difficult challenge. The challenges are very clear to the whole lot of us. If you are a Muslim, you express certain radical progressive position. People don't take you on the basis of that intellectual engagement that you present. People take you on the basis of the religion you profess. If you are an Igbo, people see you from the perspective of the ethnic garb you wear, and not what you present. And more importantly as well, I think there's a disconnect between that structure that I've consistently described as democratic imaginary that exists between governors and the governed. That space in our country is not democratized. It is the space that civil society occupies. And if you look at our challenges within the context of that democratic space, I think we have a long way to go. Look around our country. There's no concrete political structure that can confront the regime we have at the moment. We tried doing it with Occupy Nigeria in January. Occupy was amorphous. We had no single political ideology that guided the movement. And when few armed mobilized policemen and soldiers were thrown into our streets, that movement collapsed. Unlike the late 80s and 1990s, where a whole lot of us participated. We had a campaign for democracy. We had the United Action for Democracy. We had a democratic alternative. We had all sorts of political groups springing up within a singular political movement, all interested in challenging the military. But we've not had that since 1999, and that is a big challenge rolled off.
Now,
can I respond to that briefly?
Yes,
I have
please.
something to say to that. What I wanted to say to that is this. Actually, I'm at a point, though I've been out of the country for a number of years, but I'm beginning to suspect, I don't have any proof, that the civil society that's supposed to lead in this kind of struggle are getting compromised maybe not all of them, maybe some of them. The National Labour Congress, is a little bit, confused right now. But I want to suggest that instead of, if you want to say occupy Nigeria, you can't occupy Lagos and expect people in the National Assembly to listen to you. If you really want an effect, something to really have result, you want to occupy Abuja, the whole of Abuja. When the members of the National Assembly cannot move around, the ministers cannot move around, they cannot conduct government business unless they address the Nigerian people, then they will take us serious. But if we are occupying Port Harcourt, we are occupying Kaduna, we are occupying Sokoto, and we are occupying Lagos or Ibadan, it's not going to make any difference. Import everybody into Abuja and let's see what happens. Then they will listen to us. That's my advice.
Okay. Let me get back to Nigeria, where we have a president who recently has been under attack from within and outside, and I'm talking about the criticism that came from Professor George Ayete, who is a Ghanaian in United States. He called him a joke and said that Nigerians would be better off with a new leader. Now, Mahmoud, how is that playing over there in Abuja?
Well, I think the perceptive analysis of Professor George Ayete came to most Nigerians with a shock. One, it bears a Ghanaian name, and a lot of Nigerians felt that as an African, the usual African way, he should have been able to show display some moderation in his description of the president of Nigeria. I do not share the sentiment of those Nigerians who have expressed themselves along that line. Ayete is a public intellectual, and he has every right to comment on any issues emerging from any country across the world. Don't forget, as a public intellectual, he has the public space to engage. For those who disagree with him, you should engage him on the basis of his intellect, on the basis of the intellection, on the basis of the materials he has put, in the public place. Quite a lot of his critics, particularly those Nigerians connected to power in our country, are not doing that. And that shows the poverty of governance in our country. Let us be honest with ourselves. Rather unfortunately, I supported Jonathan Goodluck last year during his presidential campaign. But increasingly, he has shown incapacity of leadership. He has shown increasingly as well incapacity for rulership. In his rulership of our country has increasingly, been sliding into serious precipice that a lot of us have asked ourselves, where are we moving to under Jonathan Goodluck's presidency? I watched his presidential media chat from 4 or 5 days ago, and I was not impressed one bit. This was a man who told Nigerians, that the control of our national economy is in the hands of a certain Minister of Finance. I didn't think it was right. The bulk at all times comes applicable of the president. If anything goes awry with our economy, he should be able to throw his hands up and say, look, I have got it wrong here. For him to pass the buck to a certain Minister of Finance does not show leadership at all. And that is a serious problem we find ourselves. If we can change the president of our country, well, there's only one way open to us. The only way open to us is from the National Assembly to impeach him. But the current mood that I sense in our country, particularly in the National Assembly, a section of it that is presently rocked by the bribe scandal, I don't think they will go that hog. The only option open for us is 2015. And we have 3 to 4 years to 2015. Nigerians must begin to organize towards ending this nonsense that we have. The matter has nothing to offer Nigerians, I must say.
Now, Remi, let me ask you, did the professor say anything that our columnists, our commentators have not said, and why are Nigerians reacting this way to his statement?
I'm sorry. I believe the Nigerians who have responded in a very negative way are driven by a sense of pride and patriotism. But as Eric Kissinger once said, he said that patriotism is the last refuge of his country. So you see, if you are going to be patriotic, you want to be patriotic to a country that offers you what no other country will offer you. Nigeria has offered its citizens nothing other than mystery. And I cannot understand why a lot of people are still holding allegiance to Nigeria or to its government. Let me put it that way. You know, let me leave Nigeria. Let me say the government of Nigeria. I don't know why they are still holding allegiance to the government of Nigeria. So that's number one. Then number two, in my own opinion, as Africans, we are all brothers, and we should all be concerned about the well-being of each other. If the prof is criticizing Nigeria, if Nigeria has problems, trust me, Ghana will bear part of the burden. Because if there is refugee, some Nigerians will go to Ghana to live. So he has the right to complain about what is going on in Nigeria, as Nigerians have always had the right to complain about what is going on in Ghana or other African countries. So, in my own opinion, I don't think he has overstepped the boundaries. He has a duty and a responsibility to say it the way it is. And they don't really have to agree with him. Not everybody should agree with him or will agree with him. So, in my own opinion, I don't think he has done anything that is out of place. That is just it. I mean, regarding the question you asked me.
Okay, Mahmoud, let me ask you, at issue is the issue of the assets of the president. And yesterday, right, I believe the Code of Conduct Bureau said, the chairman said that he won't be able to make President Jonathan's assets public because it's unconstitutional. Right. What is unconstitutional about that? Explain to us, help us, because you're an attorney, you're a lawyer, you know what this is about.
Yeah, I think we should be very clear about the Code of Conduct Act and what it says in respect of declaration of assets. I'm minded to empathizing with the president of Nigeria, but I think in his presidential charge, he got the whole concept, the whole notion, the whole call by Nigerians on him to declare his asset wrong. When he said, "I don't give a damn about declaring my assets," I thought he conflicted declaration of assets with making public his declaration of assets. It did seem that the president did not understand that there was a difference between declaring assets and making public the assets he has declared. And he got it this time wrong. The point is this: he's entitled to declare his assets. Constitutionally, it's mandatory. And I think he has done that. What those of us who insist on transparency of government and accountability are calling for is that for us to fight the hydra-headed monster that is confronting our country, corruption here, it will be important for the president to make public the assets he has declared. It's a symbolic thing. So it will go a long way to show Nigerians that, look, I'm raising my hands up. The properties I have acquired through my life, I acquired them genuinely. The refusal of the president to make public his declaration of assets signifies one of two things: that he may have acquired property illicitly, unlawfully, and illegally, and he is afraid of his own shadows. Or two, he is so stuck in his own personal principles that he's not interested in his own business of declaring assets. I think Nigerians should continue to knock on his door and insist that he declares his assets. That's the only way we can begin to fight corruption in our country. I know of a certain gentleman who occupies a lower structure of governance in his government, Professor Aslam Modintalu. When he was appointed chairman of the National Human Rights Commission, he declared his assets. The governor of Ekiti State, Dr. Kayode, people did same. We are saying that those individuals with progressive credentials, i.e., governor of Lagos State, governor of Edo State, must lead the example, declare and make public the declaration of assets. On the basis of that, we can begin to knock on the door of the president. And for us, at the level of PO, public interest lawyers league, we are presently discussing, and in the next few weeks, we will be going to court to see if we can compel the Chief Justice of Nigeria, the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, President and Deputy President of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, to make public their declaration of interest. We will be asking them, tell us if the level of government you lead is more transparent than the executive.
Okay, Mahmoud and Oyeyemi, please, can you stay with us? Let's take about a minute break. When we come back, I want to look at the efforts to use the Freedom of Information Act to force the Code of Conduct Bureau to let us know what the assets are of the president. We'll take a break, a mini break, and we'll be right back. Hi, welcome back to Sahara TV. You're watching the Roundtable, which is a segment where we now bring experts to come and discuss some of the hot topics of the day. And today we have from Abuja, Abdul Mahmud, who is a lawyer and the president of the Public Interest Lawyers League. And also from the United States, we have Remi Oyeyemi, who is a journalist and a reputable columnist. We're discussing Nigeria, the president, and the outtake from the media chat that he had last week. Now, Mahmoud, before we went on break, we were talking about the statement from the chairman of the Code of Conduct Bureau, who was saying that he cannot declare public the assets of the president. Now, my question to you is, I know that several groups have filed the Freedom of Information Act demanding to know what these assets are. What is the problem? Why is it difficult for the Code of Conduct to abide by the requirements of the Freedom of Information Act?
Are
you directing the question to me?
Yeah, that's to Mahmoud.
Okay.
It's for Mahmoud. There's no basis in law and in fact for the chairman of the Code of Conduct Bureau to have come out with such very obnoxious interpretation of the act in which is particularly charged to protect and constitutionally charged to protect. And of course, what the Freedom of Information Act is. As far as I'm aware, nothing stops in Nigeria from putting out a request to the Commission, asking it to make public the declaration of assets of the president. Section 1, subsection 1 of the Freedom of Information Act 2011 is very clear. It says that notwithstanding anything contained in any other act, law, or regulation, the right of any person to access or request information, whether or not contained in anything form, which is the custody or possession of any public official, agency, or institution, howsoever described, is established. Here, every Nigerian has the right to make the request. And where the document or information requested for is not among those exempted provisions of the Act, they are mandated by the FOI Act within 7 days. It's what the FOI says. That the institution or the official or public official of that institution, in whose office that request has been made, is mandated by the law to make provision of that information or document requested for. It is for individuals to exercise their rights under the FOI Act and demand that the asset declarations of the president be made public by the Code of Conduct Bureau. Wherein they fail to do this, that individual has the right to approach a court to ask that the court forces the Code of Conduct Bureau to make the document of the request, make the conduct of the document or request public. That's the provision of the law. We shouldn't forget that some of these public officials are appointees of the president. And at all times, they have positions that fit in sync with the interest of the president. But we cannot allow them to make a foolery of our law. Our laws are very clear, and it is for individuals to approach our court and ask our court to interpret our laws liberally equally and me, hoping that the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, can and should present or make public his asset declaration forms.
Now, Remi, let me ask you, during the media chat, the president said that I have nothing to hide, and yet he seemed to be afraid of transparency. Anybody can go online and find out how much the Prime Minister of Singapore makes, how much the President of America makes, Canada, India, even India. Why is it difficult for Goodluck Jonathan to come out? Even if there is a law, he could come out and say, you know what, I'm waiving that law, my right, I'm saying declare these assets. He could do it himself. Yar'Adua did it. What is going on? Why is he afraid of that?
Well, I'm really surprised that Nigerians are expecting anything different from what we are seeing. And you cannot really blame President Jonathan, because he is a product of the system. And the kind of thing that produces him engenders this kind of attitude, behavior, and belief. So it's very different for a goat to have a child, and then the child will look like a sheep. It's not going to happen. So I'm not really surprised that this is the way things are going. And like Mahmoud pointed out, the people in the Conduct Bureau are appointed by the presidency. So they know that they owe him an obligation, and he can fire them if he so decides. Nobody obeys the law in Nigeria. There are different kinds of laws for different kinds of people depending on who you are and who you know. So that's the kind of system we're operating. So I'm not really disappointed or surprised that the president is taking that kind of stance. And to expect anything different, we are just like living in La La Land. You know, my position is this. We cannot put the cart before the horse. The horse has to be in front of the cart for the cart to move. Unless we have a fundamental change in the system, hold people accountable by waking our people up. I believe some of these things that we keep doing left, right, and center are just cosmetics. If we really want a change, we have to go down. If you want to build a house, and you go to start the building of the house by putting the roof together, you are deceiving yourself. You have to lay a foundation, raise the wall before you think of the roof. So all these things, all these kind of fights we are doing all over there, they're just cosmetics. They are never going to produce any results. We have had radicalism and progressivism in this country since 1950s, before independence. We are sick leaders. So unless we really wake up our people, the man in Maiduguri must believe with the same man, must have the same belief with the same man in Lagos. The man in Sokoto must share the same belief with the same man in Port Harcourt. We have to educate, mobilize, and organize our people. Let them know what we really need to do. I'm just tired of all these cosmetics. They are not going to work. It's like we are just moving around in circles. We can put in so many cases in court. It's not going to happen. The justices are even more corrupt now than we have ever seen in Nigerian history. Some of the things that we used to even point to as institutional checks are no longer there. So if we really want a change, then we have to look and get and work towards that change. Going to court, the judges who is looking for promotion, or the chief judge that owes allegiance to the president, they are not independent. We're not going to get any result. So if we want any result, the only three words I'm going to put out there: organize, organize, organize. We should go to the grassroots, educate our people, mobilize them. Let us know that it is in their interest and the interest of the posterity to come before for them to be involved. If we don't do that, whatever we do, we are just wasting time. That's my pending advice.
Mr. Abdul Mahmud, you were a former student union leader, and listening to Oyeyemi, do you think that there is that kind of stomach?
Can you raise your volume a little? I can't hear you.
Okay. What did he say? Can I speak up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
I'm saying that you listened to Oyeyemi now, what he said, and I said you were a former student union leader, and you were involved in organizing people. And why is it that it looks as if there is no stomach on the part of the masses now, or maybe there is a lack of leadership? Why is it that we don't have a kind of coming together around an issue that is as simple as this issue of forcing the president to come out and declare his assets? What is going on? What is the difficulty in making that happen?
Well, I come from the progressive tradition of Nigerian left, and I haven't been involved since 1988. If you ask me, the news, I'm astonished by what is happening within that progressive tradition today, and also, well, the Nigerian movement itself. Quite a lot of us have convert and advanced positions of why we can't put some sort of structure of unity and begin to pose alternatives to the nonsense going on. I've lived 12 years of my life abroad before returning back to Nigeria 2 years ago. And I've lived almost 30 years of my life. I lived 30 years of my life in Nigeria before traveling abroad. The level of poverty in our country has become very, very deep. Some of the things we take as luxury, in the West, in Great Britain and the United States, those countries have lived at some point. Quite a lot of us are still struggling to achieve and overcome, and even surmount some of these, some of these basic problems. Individuals who have been combatant, in the streets of our country, are struggling to survive, and invariably that affects our ability to properly organize. And so, this is my personal opinion. The problem of ethnicity has become extremely deep. It wasn't like this in the 80s and 90s. And I think the elite ruling class in Nigeria has really keyed into this problem. And they succeeded in using it as a basis of disuniting our people. Then in general, we saw the unity of Nigeria, organized around a common resolve to reject the increase in fuel prices and all that. But I think the larger question about how do we make our institutions work? How do we make our public servants, our public officials accountable to the electorate? Some of the basic problems we are struggling to overcome. There's no unity because every public official today who steals from the public treasury, that public officer or official represents a certain village in our country. And that certain village can always rise up in unity and applaud their son, And that does not bode well for our unity. That does not bode well for our desire to bring about a common structure to combat some of these problems that we think are confronting our country. And religion, too, is also a problem. People see things from the prism of religion. If you are not a Muslim and you express opinions on issues that are Christian-based, people take offense at it. These are the basic problems we have. We can't leave our nonsense to these dogs that are trying to run our country.
Mr. Mahmud.
Yeah.
Now, Remi, go on.
Do you mind if I respond to that?
Yeah, go ahead, Remi.
Yes, please.
Okay. You see, you are going to be surprised if I tell you that if Nigeria has to survive, tribalism is the secret weapon. You see, unless we want to deceive ourselves and continue to deceive ourselves, you cannot ask me to give up my Yorubaness for anything that is amorphous and is not real. You cannot advise an Ijaw man to give up his Ijawness or an Igbo man to give his Igbo-ness. First of all, we have to recognize that we are all different, with different political worldview, political culture, religion, and what else. If we recognize our differences, we can start from there. Okay, you are different from me. Where are the commonalities? Where can we work together? But to ask the Igbo man to give up his Igbo-ness, or the Hausa man to give up his Hausa-ness, or and a person who is a Muslim to give up his religion. It's nonsense. You're asking them to give up the authenticity, the only authentic about them. It's not possible. It's not going to work. That is the way they are. It is the nature. It's the way they have been raised. You are asking us to give up cultures that have developed over 1,000 years. It is not going to work. The only way it's going to work is that first of all recognize that I'm a Yoruba man. Somebody else is an Igbo man, another person is an Hausa man, another person is an Ijaw man. Let us all agree on that. Then we now look for a way to work together as a country. In a way, maybe there will be autonomous regions or whatever. We have to decide this. It is not easy to make somebody in Aba to see things the same way from somebody from Kazawe because of their different milieux. We cannot continue to deceive ourselves. We need to dig deep, accept reality, and then work towards it. If Nigeria is going to survive, the first thing to recognize is the tribalism, that we are ethnically different, that we have different political views and political culture, and we should find a way to accommodate each other so that all of us can develop and grow within our own milieu. If you don't recognize that, we are going to be wasting our time. This is why it is difficult for you to see the people of Ijaw to fight against Ibori or Alam or even Yoruba people as bad as Obasanjo is still support. So we need to recognize that.
Now, Mahmoud, I'll let you respond.
I agree with you. Remi. But the point is this: what solution can we provide? Should we collapse the entire Nigerian project and begin to build our nation state along the lines that you have postulated? But I keep asking some of these individuals who pose some of these alternatives. But, for example, the state of Biafra has been quite unlucky through its history of creation. It had successive TV governors who are in themselves sons of the generation. The point I'm trying to make here is this. The ability to steal from our national treasury is not defined by the character or the ethnic garb that you wear. It is defined by those little things that define the feeding class that some of these individuals belong to. Take another state in the northeast of Nigeria, Borno State, that is extremely poor. I'm not aware that an Igbo has ever ruled that state. Those individuals that have ruled that state since 1999 that the capital regime came into being are prevented from the current averages. So the point, we must find a common, a commonality, some point that we can unite around. And what is that point? We are still fundamental things that unite us as Nigerians.
Well, I agree with you to it. Oh, sorry. I agree with you to a certain extent. I just want to say this because I know we soon have done. I agree with you to a certain extent, okay? But the bottom line is still this. We have to institute the principle of self-determination. Every man has the right to determine his own destiny. And in this kind of judgment, there is no partiality. So says Bob Marley, quoting Marcus Garvey. But unless that's where we have to start from. You have the right to even destroy your own life, if that's what you want.
Now, I will stop this discussion.
We have to give everybody the right for self-determination. I think we should start there from city from city to local government to state, and then to region. When we start from that principle, we will be able to know, okay, this is where we disagree. This is where we agree. Let us now emphasize where we agree so that we can move forward and everybody can be happy. But you cannot ask me to give up what is important to me simply because you have an idea. What if that idea, I do not share it? That's the problem with Nigeria. And you have actually articulated this very well in all your contributions. Now, the difficulty in getting everybody together.
Now, Remi, let's stop this discussion there. We will get back to this because it's a wider discussion. It's actually a question of the two different schools of thoughts. One that says that for the nation to live, the tribe must die, and the other one that says that for the nation to live, the tribe must thrive. But we will talk about it in a different show. We have few seconds left, and I want to ask you guys, based on the performance so far, of the president, and the reaction we are getting from people in government to criticism like the one that came this week from Professor Oyeyemi. Where do you think, projecting, where do you think we are going? Are we going to see a return of kind of repression, or a kind of a fight against people, or the perception that people who are critical of the government, that they are unpatriotic, or that they don't have the interest of Nigeria at heart? I will go to Mahmoud first, and then we'll go to Remi and round up.
It's a very simple thing. As Nigerians, we have every right to express ourselves, and we have every right to criticize the government. I should say that when he was elected into power last year, he claimed to have won over 20 million votes or above at that election. And the 20 million Nigerian electorate have every right to criticize the government and to hold him accountable to some of the obnoxious policies that he has enunciated so far, or the action on the inaction that his regime or he has shown as president of Nigeria. Like I said earlier on, Professor George Oyeyemi had every reason to express himself the way he did. And for those who are connected to power in Nigeria, they have become very critical of him. I just exhort and enjoin them. Please, if you are engaging at the intellectual level, engage at the policy level, engage at a level that will deepen discourse. Playing noise and more slings will not augur well for us. But this government, let us be honest about it, is bankrupt in policy, bankrupt in implementation, bankrupt in initiation and administration of anything that can move our country forward. President Jonathan has given Nigerians promise 5 days ago that we should carry him into 2015, 2013, we will be seeing the fruition of some of these policies. I have very huge doubts. But like I continue to say, we should not rest on our arms. Those of us who are political activists, we must begin to demand accountability from those who occupy our quarters of political governance, and for individuals that are members of the opposition party political structure. They must begin to earn their pay. I don't know the position of the CPC on the current economic crisis confronting our country. Neither do I know the position of the Action Congress. These are the two leading opposition parties in our country. They are talking of alliance, and are very critical of the alliance process. You cannot align at a superficial national level. Alliance must take place from the grassroots. That is where I think they've gotten it wrong. The way they are going, they don't put their acts together. I see President Jonathan Goodluck running roughshod over them in 2015. If it not be my dream, I do not hope it will be my dream. Because it will be nonsense of some of us, of what some of us have fought for, to have a regime for almost 13 years that has taken steps to underdevelop our country. The level of insecurity in our country is very deep. Killings everywhere. Kidnappings everywhere. Just last week here, a Nigerian poet, Jerry Adesowo, was kidnapped in Abuja, and 1 million ransom was placed on his head. That is a young man. And we are aware of this because he enjoys some mileage in the public press. So there are so many Nigerians out there across our villages and cities that are being kidnapped every day. There are Nigerians that I speak to you whose homes are being inundated by huge damage in Lagos. I don't know the reaction of Nigerians to what is going on in Lagos. So Nigeria is in dire state. And for us as a people, we must begin to exact some sort of responsibility from the present regime. How we do it, well, it's left for us. But for me as a political activist, I can only call on those who share my view, who share my vision. Let's link our hands together and begin to form structures, begin to organize, stop organizing, and see at what level we can confront the government. Thank you.
All right, Remi, can you please sum up your views in 30 seconds?
One major lesson that history has taught us is this. No group of people who has ever had power has given it up very willingly. And when you try to take it away from them, they will fight back. So my prediction for 2015, Jonathan will become president again. That's it. And if you're asking me about the solution or anything, I don't see the present system meeting the aspirations and hopes of Nigerians. So my suggestion is that we should junk the system, get together at the table, and renegotiate our future. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Abdul Mahmud and Remi Oyeyemi, for joining us. We have to apologize that we couldn't take the Skype callers who wanted to join this discussion. But hopefully in our next segment, we are going to have Skype calls and then have you guys join in this discussion.